I've lost my mojo.
Mojo?
Mojo. The libido, the life force, the essence, the right stuff. What the French call a certain... I don't know what.
Hey everyone, it is Glenn Mackintosh, the Weight Psych, and the question we're answering today is about dating and weight. Hey guys, welcome to Thursday Therapy. Today we're answering a really interesting question, and I'm even going to get someone on really special to help us answer it. So the question comes from Emma. Hey superstar Glenn, I really struggle with dating at my weight. I think I would get more dates and romance if I was skinnier, but no, dieting doesn't work. What should I do about this? Emma, thank you for this question. When I put it out there that I would like to answer a Thursday Therapy question on dating and relationships, I got a flood of emails coming through. And I think this is one that kind of hits home for a lot of people, and they kind of keep it to themselves. So thank you for being brave. I really, really like that you've put in there, so good girl, you've obviously watched previous Thursday Therapies, that dieting is probably not the answer. So that's fantastic. And also thank you for the compliment. Guys, I'm a sucker for compliments. So if you give me more compliments, I'll be more likely to answer your Thursday Therapy. That's just the way it is. Anyway, I actually want to give you a few ideas on this. And then I'm going to bring in someone really special who's an absolute expert in this area. He's absolutely fantastic. His work is very consistent with what we do, but I recommend a lot of people go and see him and follow his work. He does a lot of stuff for free because it really does sort of go beyond what we do. So I'm going to give you a few answers, and then we're going to bring on someone really special. So my first point is that it's really the other person's choice whether they like you or not. That's kind of how dating works. You decide whether you like them, and they decide whether they like you. So I don't want you to, based on your own beliefs, make the other person's choice for them. I've got clients, for example, who don't swipe right in their Tinder on people who they think are too good for them. And that's kind of how Tinder works. You decide if you like the look and sound of them. They decide if they like the look and sound of you. So my first thought is, don't create this self-fulfilling prophecy where you believe you're not good enough and then create that reality and not even give the other person a chance to decide whether they like you or not. So the next thing I want you to think about is that there is so much more to your attractiveness than just the physical attractiveness. For example, if you get a couple of people who look the same, someone who's more confident, who's more self-assured, they're probably a bit more attractive. You know, intelligence is attractive. Having a good conversation with someone, that's attractive. Being a nice person is attractive. I've got single friends who will say things like, yeah, she was really good looking, but she wasn't very nice, so it kind of took the shine off things. So what I want to say to you is, you know, zoom out from just the physical appearance and focus on all of your attractiveness. And if you don't think that you're as attractive as you would like to be on that physical level, don't dampen down or ignore the other elements of your attractiveness. Okay, the third point that I want to make, and I feel a little bit nervous saying this, is that you might need to look at your expectations of other people as well as yourself. You know, I see a lot of people at, you know, bigger shapes and sizes that would love to find a relationship, and then we talk through the type of partner that they want, and they kind of won't settle for anything apart from the body beautiful. And it makes you kind of question the weird kind of irony there. So what I'll encourage you to do is is not only look at the judgments of yourself, but also look at maybe lifting some of those judgments of other people, because it could be that you're limiting your dating pool through your own expectations. I'm not saying that you don't want to have expectations, of course, and I'm not saying there are things that you're going to like and things that you're not going to like. What I am saying is, though, sometimes if you can take away some of those unnecessary judgments that society gives us about all of us, you could actually open up to a wider range of people that might be a good partner for you. Guys, this is a really big issue, and I did my research in psychological and social factors and weight management, so I love kind of exploring this interaction between eating, weight, body image, and relationships. But I'm not a dating expert. So we're going to do something special today. I'm going to refer in for our first ever Thursday therapy referral. And we're going to refer in to Mark Rosenfeld. He's the founder of Make Him Yours. And he's actually Australia's most followed dating coach. So let's see what he has to say on the subject. So Mark, thank you for coming in.
Yeah, thank you for having me, Glenn.
As the first Thursday therapy ever referral.
Very honoured. I'm very honoured to be here.
Yeah, Mark has an amazing YouTube channel, and Mark, you're obviously helping people out with a whole range of issues around dating, relationships.
Yeah, and self-improvement as well, which is a big part of dating.
It's a big part of it that I didn't really realise. And I've got to say, guys, I was highlighting my ignorance, because even though Mark is a bit bigger than me, I'll say this, I actually thought that dating coaching was a little bit corny, but Mark was the person. You actually changed my mind through watching, through watching your videos. And obviously there's a big intersection between what we do.
Absolutely.
And some of the things I'm sort of watching Mark's videos, and he's literally helping tens of thousands of people every week. Your channel kind of gives me YouTube envy.
Thank you, Glenn.
But you know, some of these things I'm sort of thinking from a professional psychologist point of view, I'm like, I really agree with that. I really get that for my clients. And then also as a bloke, I'm like, Mark is explaining these things that almost all guys will experience when they're dating, and you're really giving these women an insight into our brains and how to kind of best support themselves to woo us.
Yeah, thank you. Thank you. I appreciate that.
Yeah. So Mark's going to talk to us today specifically about Emma's question. What tips, you know, what's the go-to? What do you say to people who really feel like their weight or their body image is really getting in the way of their dating life?
Yeah, sure. So Emma's question in particular was, I feel like if I was a lower weight, I'd get more dates and have more success in dating. Do you know, one of the ironies, Glenn, that I find in being a dating coach is that a lot of people come to me and they say, Mark, I'm unhappy with where I am. I feel like I should be in a certain position, you know, I should be married, I should have kids, I should be somewhere, and I'm not that somewhere, whatever that is for them. And it's this distance between where they think they should be, so their expectations, and where they actually are, their standards, or where they found themselves, that creates that unhappiness.
Yeah, absolutely.
So to answer sort of Emma's question, my first thought reading this was, would I get more dates if I was a lesser weight or thinner? Well, the answer is no, not necessarily, but you would get more dates if you were happier with where you were at. So one of the first things I have to do with clients, and this is the irony, is almost keep them single. Is I need to go, okay, I need to get them loving their single life, loving where they're at, enjoying, embracing all the benefits of that, because that's when they become radiant to men, and that's when they get so many more dates, because they love where they're at. Men can sense that energy.
You can, can't you? You can sort of feel it.
Yeah, and that's why we want to be around people that make us feel good, because we can empathize with people. And men, just in the same way, if they're around you and you're feeling good all the time, you love where you're at, men are going to want to be around you more.
We do. We like to be around people that make us feel good, don't we?
Right. It's really that simple. And so this concept of I'm not where I should be, this applies to your weight as well.
Right. Yep.
So we know that there's lots and lots of bigger girls out there who do so well in dating. You know, you have clients who do incredibly well. I have clients, I have friends that absolutely kill it in dating because they love where they're at. And instead of being here, they're perhaps here or they're here, but they're exceeding their expectations in where they are. Mm-hmm. So the two factors that you've got to look at are your expectations versus your standards and where you're at. And the biggest thing I say to clients, and I would say to you, Emma, is that think about, what do I need to do to make myself happy? What do I need to do to make myself happy? Because your happiness and the way you feel all the time and the energy you give off to men is going to be a function of where you're at compared to your expectations, where you think you should be at. So you've got to examine these two factors. So you might start with your expectations and you might say, okay, my expectations, if I take a step back and I'm really honest, are completely unreasonable. You know, I might feel like I need to be a supermodel, Claudia Schiffer, and this is, or any supermodel with a great body. I feel like this is way too much. If I step back and be honest with myself, this is too much.
And we do feel a lot of people, you know, with
exactly.
that thin ideal, we kind of feel like I have
To be somewhere, yeah. And because the expectation, you might be at a totally healthy weight, but your expectations are up here, you still feel shit about it, you'll get less dates because of it.
Yeah.
So you might, or for example, you might have a physical disability where you go, okay, I can't, perhaps an illness, I can't be quite where I want to be. So I need to shift my expectations a little bit and get myself to where I feel healthy, you know, a more reasonable level of expectations that works for me. So you've got to look at where your expectations are. And the second factor is you've got to look at where you are and where your standards are, because it might be that you say, okay, I'm actually a hugely health conscious person, you know, I should have a six-pack all the time and that's just my value. And you might say, okay, I'm not compromising on that value because that's a super core value for me. So I need to raise my standards and get myself up there and above that to feel good. You know, for me, for example, if I don't exercise as much as I should, I start to sink below and I feel bad and I'm not radiant to people in that state. Or you might say, look, my expectations are a bit unreasonable. I'm gonna make them more healthy and realistic, but I'm also gonna go and take some action to get
a little bit of both.
A little bit of both, exactly right. And the ways to do this is basically this. With your expectations, the first thing you might want to do to change those if you feel like they're unreasonable is go, okay, I'm going to spend time around some people with healthier beliefs and healthier expectations as it relates to weight.
Absolutely. We have a growing community of people who embrace sort of size diversity.
Yeah. And so you say, okay, you're going to absorb people's beliefs. You know, you become like the 5 people you spend the most time around. So you spend time around people with better expectations that suit you more. You know, you might do research on what a healthy body weight actually is versus this rubbish idea that the media gives us. And you say, well, actually, a healthy weight's probably actually about here, if I'm honest with myself. Or you might hire someone like myself or Glenn to get your mindset in the right place and go, okay, this is where I need to be with this. So those are a few strategies you can use to shift your expectations to perhaps a more healthy place if you feel like you're buying into ones that are just too high and you feel like that doesn't really connect with my values. My values need to be in a more realistic place. At the same time, to feel good, you might also have to be true to those values. So we all let fears and insecurities get in the way in dating, especially because it's a particularly vulnerable place.
Absolutely.
But weight and exercise is another one of those. And so we go, okay, I'm probably letting my fear of maybe going to the gym or how people will perceive me, blocking myself taking that action that would actually get me to that healthy value of weight where I see it. So I'm letting my fears drive my behavior. So being really honest with yourself about those fears, what fears are blocking me from getting up here? What do I need to do? What do I need to tackle to get out of my comfort zone? Maybe you build your environment around your success. So, you know, one thing I get clients to do is I'll have them leave their phone across the room in the morning. They don't want to get out of bed, go to the gym, they got to walk, get out of their bed, right, to do it. They set up their environment for success. You've got to automate your life. When I was exhausted getting home from work, had no energy at all to go to the gym, I'm just totally tired, I'd go to the gym and literally fall asleep in the car because I knew that when I'd wake up, I'd have no excuse not to go.
You're already at the gym.
So yeah, I'm already there, right? So you set up your environment. So you can examine those fears that are holding you back, set up your environment for success, and then even if you need to, get an expert opinion. Dietitian, PT, do whatever you've got to do so that when you go, okay, my expectations are in a healthy place, I don't want to put them any lower than this because health is a value for me.
Because it really is about your values, isn't it?
Exactly, it comes back to that.
About kind of weight and shape. It's like, well, we see this, that, you know, for a lot of people that we see, healthy eating and regular movement, they're important. And when you're not in line with that,
you're like, oh, I feel ick.
And I think other people would feel that.
Of course, absolutely. I mean, if you've ever met a man, and this is going back to the original example, which is just people who come to me, you know, if you've ever met a man who was just miserable in his single life, or even just miserable with his weight, you feel that energy.
It's a massive barrier, isn't it?
Yeah, you feel it and you vibe it off him and you don't feel good spending time around him. Whereas there's plenty of bigger guys that are very confident, very happy where they're at. And even if a guy's happy single, it's about him being happy where he's at. So this is the balance that you've got to achieve, and whether it's through either factor, you know, it might be, okay, my expectations are way out of line, I need to bring them out. Or maybe it's like, okay, my expectations are actually pretty healthy, I need to bring my standards up. Or perhaps it's a little of both. When you have this difference and you're feeling positive emotions the majority of the time, not just about your weight, but about being single in general, you're going to attract men, and Emma, you're going to have a lot more dates and romance in your life, I promise you.
So Mark, thank you so much. That is brilliant advice. And actually, you've done a lot of psychology advice in there, isn't
Yeah,
it?
there's a big crossover, isn't there? There's a big crossover.
Massive crossover. So if I can just add one more recommendation, it would be to follow Mark. His stuff is really brilliant. And I think it's kind of like, if I want my books to be in order, I go and see an accountant. You know, if you want your mind to be in order, you go and see a psychologist. But we don't often do that for dating coaches.
It's like, okay, if I want my dating life to be in order, I'll ask my best friend who's not doing so well herself, right? It doesn't make sense to me. I mean, happiness the people in our life are such a big sort of thing relating to our happiness, you know, like our relationships and the people around are the biggest factor. That was the word I'm looking for.
Yeah, that's what I find in my practice. I tried to study just psychological factors and weight management, but I found that I had to zoom out and include the social because people are talking to me about, you know, that's some of the biggest thing in their life. No matter what they come in for me, you know, to see me for eating and weight and body image, half the time we spend talking about the relationship. It's so core to how we feel.
Yeah, and that's why, you know, if a couple's in trouble, they go to a relationship psychologist, and if you're struggling with your dating, you come to a dating coach. That's certainly the way I see it.
So definitely, if you guys are YouTubers, subscribe to Mark's channel. And also, Mark, we get a lot of our audience we do through emails.
Yep.
So if we'll provide a link, you've got a profile of dating.
Yeah, so we've got, if you've found yourself attracting the wrong men, if you've been getting people who just aren't right for you, especially again and again, whether it's someone with a more narcissistic personality, controlling, victim-minded, whatever it is, if you're finding yourself you're consistently attracting the wrong types of men, you can get a free report right now. We'll pop the link in the description below the video.
Fantastic.
Link below. Free report on the top 10 male dating personalities that lead to heartbreak.
That might kind of help people, you know, kiss a few less frogs before they find the
that's
prince,
the idea.
You know?
Yeah, that's the idea. It's you know, it talks all about the personalities, why you might attract them even, but most importantly, how to spot them early.
Yeah,
how to spot them early
to
prevent yourself committing to the wrong person and you know, wasting time and giving your love to someone who isn't right for you.
Fantastic. Well, Mark, thank you so much for coming on the show.
Thank you so much for having me.
Yeah, I hope you've enjoyed your first Thursday therapy referral. I have learned a lot. But guys, you know, thank you for being part of another Thursday therapy. I feel like these issues are something that people keep to themselves a lot. So if you feel like you might have a friend who's struggling with this, maybe share this video with them. You might like to do it in a, you know, like a private message or an email. And of course, if you haven't already, what are you doing? Subscribe to both of our channels, and we'll see you at the next Thursday therapy.
Don't forget to leave your questions.
Yes, leave your questions.
Leave your questions. I'll come on and answer. Yeah, I'm happy.
Fantastic.
To come on and answer them. Leave your questions below, and Glenn will see you very soon.
Sounds good. Thanks, guys.